Welcome back to the booth. The first semi-final is done. We know that Puerto Rico await in the final. Who's going to join them? Will it be Hungary? Will it be Su Qingguo and the might of Chinese Taipei? Let's find out. It's time for the second semi-final of the World Magic Cup 2012. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, and good night wherever you are around the world. They are playing for those trophies that you saw there, and as we head down to the floor, we are gearing up for the second semi-final of the World Magic Cup between Chinese Taipei and Hungary.
I don't know who this cameraman is, but I like the cut of his jib.
Oh, very good.
He's seriously been doing amazing work all weekend long, getting in these great shots of the entire three teams.
There you see Su Qingguo of Chinese Taipei. We just saw Gabor Coxis playing modern for Hungary. Kuo, the most experienced of the 6 players at this table for sure. He's going to kick off. We're going to see a step links from Gabor Coxis. Turn 1. And his turn 2. Play already Coxis down at 18.
So we've been talking about next level Delver decks. This Coxis's deck is not Delver. Is not next level.
Right.
It is a Delver deck with a lot of cheap creatures.
Yep. We've got Step Links, Delvers, Snapcasters, Geistersent Traft in there. Plenty of burn. We've got Lightning Bolts floating about the place. Magma Jet here and there. All your Lightning Helixes. Raman's Path to Exile. And so we're underway in this modern match. So the matches are Coxis against Kuo in modern, Terry Cheng against Thomas Nag in block, and that leaves Thomas Glied for Hungary in standard against Yumin Yang. That's Zombie Pod against Zombies. We'll get to that shortly, but we're opening up on game 1 of the modern matchup. Coxis versus Kuo.
This is the fourth time Coxis is appearing in a team competition. He's got 46 lifetime pro points. You know, very quietly a player whose name has not bubbled up very often when we're talking stuff. He's played in 32 Grand Prix.
Yeah, we see him as a regular on the Grand Prix circuit, and, you know, he does handily, and sometimes he does quite well. I always forget Grand Prix Paris 2011, because that was the gigantic GP that ran with the Pro Tour. And top 32 at that, given that the event was over 2,000 players, was pretty awesome for Coxis.
He's transforming his Delver into Insectile Aberration.
And he says, "Can I draw?" I say, I'm going to think about that. He's got a hand of Serum Visions, Path to Exile, Lightning Helix, Steam Vents, and a Mountain. That's the
Quo is like, I would like to consult with my team about your upkeep step.
Yeah.
He's going to Snapcaster Mage his Path to Exile.
Now I'm going to consult with my team about your response in my upkeep to my upkeep step. Path to Exile now aims at the Insectile Aberration.
Right, he might have wanted to do that later, but he knows there's a remand coming. Figures do it while the counter magic is, the known counter magic is not online. So that gets exiled. The remand goes away.
Yep.
Because he wants to get his land.
Of course, so that means shuffling.
His teammates are saying, look, maybe you don't get the land. Maybe.
It's because he's checking, is it May?
Right. Can I fail to find and not shuffle, or do I, even if I fail to find, do I have to shuffle?
I would say no,
may search.
You may search, right?
I may
search.
Yes. In case I choose not to search, then I still have to shuffle my deck, or
no.
I don't have to shuffle my deck.
Of course, you don't have to shuffle your deck.
You do not have to shuffle your deck.
No.
So he decides the remand is worth more to him than the land.
If you search and don't find, then of course you have to shuffle your land. But if you don't search, why would you have to shuffle?
No search.
Worth checking. Worth
no
checking.
search.
Quo's just been no searched.
That's right. De nincs izénk, nincs semmi nyomásunk. Szerintem persze. Ez semmi nyomást nem tudunk kifejteni.
Do you know what Huntmaster from the Fells turns into, BDM?
The Ravager of the Fells.
That's exactly what it does, and that's what it did for Terry Cheng in the first game of Block. I can tell you that they have come out of the blocks firing. Chinese Taipei lead that one 1-0. Tamas Nag is 0-1 down in Block.
Huh?
So first blood to Chinese Taipei. Pace a little more measured in this one.
Nem annyira jó. Tomó, nyertél?
Zhu Chenkuo has not done a lot of losing this weekend.
13.
Has he? Is he undefeated?
I believe
On
he
the
is
weekend?
undefeated. He is 13-0.
That is so wonderful. Because it really does mean more when it's the team.
That's right.
Actually, it says 12-0 here.
That's what it
He,
Well, presumably there's a team match in which he doesn't have to play because they've already
Sure.
won, or
or
top,
yeah,
one bottom. Okay. That's not a comment.
as you can see, plenty of land for Coxus. Which is why he didn't want to
Elkezdem lövöldözni
lose
az
his
emberképen.
remand.
Semmi értelme nincsen.
Helix Remand Path to Exile to land is the Cox's hand. Quo, meanwhile,
Restoration Angel,
As a
Kitchen
ki-
Finks,
Lőjük, nem?
and Spell Snare.
yeah. I would like to Helix your Snapcaster Mage.
This is something we've watched. Quo's very precious about his resources. Yeah, he's very, very conservative.
4.
Yeah, he's like, which would I rather have? Would I rather have this Spell Snare in my hand? Would I rather have this Restoration Angel, be able to reset my Snapcaster Mage at a more crucial juncture of the game?
Yeah.
You know, or do I want this 2 points of beatdown that my opponent obviously is somewhat concerned about? You know, and at 13.
Patience is something that's very hard to teach, because when you imply to people that patience is what's required, people start losing their windows of opportunity to get the game won. But there is no doubt that if you can correctly identify when being patient is the correct play, that is a giant step up in your Magic evolution. It's one of the big things that separates what I would call a PTQ level player from one of the big pros.
There are a couple of bubbles in time you need to step into during a match of Magic where you're like, okay, this is an important moment. And so here he decides to Restoration Angel.
Remand it?
Here we see the remand, and he knows he can Spell Snare that, and that's what he decided he would do.
So everything Quo wants to happen, happens. Everything that Coxis wants to happen doesn't happen. When you put it like that, you can see why Quo went, yeah, maybe now is the time to do something. Coxis seems unfazed by it.
Ki kell kaszálni, másokat meg lelőni, nem?
4 cards in hand. It's a Snapcaster Mage, Path to Exile, for the Restoration Angel. Quite happy to pay the price of Quo getting a land. I want to thank all of you joining us on Cover It Live. If you're watching us live on the webcast, do tune in to Cover It Live as well. be part of the community there who love their Magic and know a lot about the game too. There's a lot of very thoughtful comments going to cover it live, so we're glad to have you all with us, augmenting the webcast here on magicthegathering.com.
这边怎样？Matt，你呢？Game free life? 16. Go.
So now the Snapcaster is on the other side of the table for Hungary. And Quo sees. They're getting kind of frisky with the path to exiles early in this one. It's like, I've got one, you've got one, I've got one. They won't have any land left to find soon. So,
sounds like multiple Gerald messengers and Blood Artists are trumping Gerald's messenger for the Hungarian team.
Tamás Glied looks like he's working his way back into that one.
22.
So get in with Mutavault and play Kitchen Figs here for Quo.
So remember, in block already Chinese Taipei are 1-0 to the good. Still 0-0 in the standard match, but as we hear, Hungary perhaps have the edge there. Kind of tough to tell at this stage in this one here in game one. The life advantage with Quo. Coxis has Geisters and Trap down. Kitchen Finks for Quo. He's got a Mutavault as well. Used up 2 of his Path to Exile. A Restoration Angel's gone for him. Really pretty balanced at this stage of the game, and certainly no sense of decisive action.
Yeah, just trading trading body blows. Just attacks with Mutavault. Keeps his Kitchen Finks back to absorb the Geist of St. Traft.
Yeah.
Everyone else still going at it in tables 2 and 3.
You can see a laptop in play, so even though we're watching this match on camera, there will be text coverage as well. Really getting into the nitty-gritty of each turn of the card. And, and providing updates on what the other matches are doing.
So the Mutavault is going to stop being just a land and is going to start being a bit of a beta. And Coxis turns to Madis Schrick, the coach, the 4th member of the team, and says, what do you reckon? Yeah, we'll just take it.
Yeah.
So now off we go. We'll Delver transform.
He's officially at the half-dead stage of the game.
Before the draw.
So he looks at a card with Delver, doesn't like what he sees, and says, before I draw, activate my fetch land, shuffle that down, let's hope for something better on top to go to my hand. You see that in Standard too once in a while with Evolving Wilds, if you know, not a card a lot of those decks play, but I've absolutely seen that happen.
Yeah,
Thought Scour more generally is what you do.
Let's change the future a little.
Yeah.
It's a very good one. Draw.
That would really be the miracle bonfire, right? You like you look with the Delver, you don't see it, you break a fetch land, and then you're like,
there it is.
and then you bonfire.
Szépen neki sincs semmilyen.
3 cards, 2 cards for Quo to 1 card for Coxus. 2 pretty good ones there for Quo.
Ez valószínűleg van.
Both of them are coming in.
Engedjük, nem? No box. Four. Done. Trigger. Sure.
See, this is one of those games where Magic's counterintuitive because Coxus is down to 4 and Quo's at 22, but I'm not sure that that's the whole story here.
Most már találni, nem?
Well, we'll see.
Ez így annyira nem lesz erős.
Now down to 3.
And again, he's
Azt keresem.
doing the same thing he did last turn. He looked, he didn't like.
Nem találom.
Paying life, thinning his deck.
Egy van benne?
要赢了吗？要赢了吗？对，这第二把，
Feketét.
加油啊！
Sounds like Yang has taken a game of Standard with a Falcon Wrath Aristocrats.
So that is Zombies 1 for Chinese Taipei and Zombie Pod 0 for Hungary. Tamas Klied falls behind. He held his nerve wonderfully in the quarterfinals to dispatch Stephen Murray, carried out on his shield the Scots in the quarters.
And we're going to get a chance to look at those guys in action, I think, after this game here.
Yep, that's where we're heading next. We're going to go and have a look at Standard. Zombie Pod against Zombies.
So 6 comes over for Coxus.
Ja. Lát. Úgy is meghalunk, tehát akkor nem, de ha a kör végén ezt megcsináltam volna, és visszahagytuk, akkor úgy meg működik.
And attack.
Well, we'll have a bit of block there. Take 2. Cox is now down to the last chance saloon. He's down to just 1. Well, with 3 cards in hand, there's a remand there at least. Looks like a Snapcaster going round and round as well. In comes Geist plus Angel. 6 points of damage. That puts quota 10. And we see Lightning Helix, Remand, and a land. Don't think that's the correct answer. Let's see. It's going to keep him in it. Lightning Helix. We're going to have a Remand counterspell war. Remand the Lightning Helix. Remand your Remand, I guess, is what's coming.
Well, I mean, he could also say, okay, take Lightning
right,
Helix
so
and recast it.
All right, so here's instead Snapcaster Mage from
Arra nyomjam
Quo.
rá, vagy ezért lenyomjam rá? Az többe kerül neki, hogy helyre nyomom, nem?
Oh,
Hát,
Snapcaster Mage from Quo. Is he going to path the Exile his own guy to counter?
Az nem jutott.
Oh, he's going to Spell Snare.
Micsoda? És ez kimegy?
I mean, there would be certainly some comedic value in going to path to exile his own guy, which of course Coxes can't allow. So he remands, and then now I'm going to remand you remand because I really want to kill my own guy. But as it is, it's a little less convoluted. It is Spell Snare. Now his remand for that Spell Snare. We know,
which is a hard counter in the case when you're flashing something back.
Right.
Right.
sounds like Thomas Nug, the Hungarian captain, has equalized in block constructed against Terry Cheng of Chinese Taipei in that one. Managed to sort of break up what was going on. It was silver heart for Cheng, but Nug managed to get rid of that, break up a pair, and that was enough to send him to victory. So they are tied at 1-1. We are heading next to standard, where Yu Min Yang leads Tamas Glied of Hungary by 1-0. And we'll see whether that third game in block is going to become relevant. Right now, Gabor Coxis is desperately trying to be at more than 0. How's that going for him, BDM?
He is undetermined yet. There's still... So right now, we have a lightning helix that has been spell snared, a spell snare that has been
wait. We've got a lightning helix, which was responded to by a Snapcaster Mage.
Flashing back spell snare, which is being remanded. And a remand on remand.
Coxis down to 3 mana. Shrek in the traditional Hungarian dress of the Arsenal Premier League shirt.
Okay, so
Resolve this.
that resolves. Yeah.
I draw.
Yeah. This is still on stack.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So Remand occurs getting Quo a card. The Remand goes back to hand for Coxis. He replays the Remand for the spell snare. The Quo had remanded the Remand off the Snapcaster Mage to finally get rid of the Lightning Helix. And now,
Draw a card.
draw a card off the Remand. The spell snare has gone away. Now Lightning Helix will attempt to
and in the end,
pass to exile my own guy. And that's game! Oh, fabulous stuff. Oh, that was that was a bit of a turn. Oh, lovely stuff from Suchin Quo there. And it takes 2 to tango. Gabor Coxis and Suchin Quo going at it there. But that is game to Suchin Quo. So they are up a game there, and that is where we are. We're going to move across any minute to another table,
where we're going to take a look at
Want to know who's the best of the best? 16 of the world's greatest players face off August 29 to 31st in Seattle at the Magic Players Championship. Tune in for the live webcast and see the likes of Finkel, Kibler, Scott Vargas, Dama de Rosa, Nakamura, and more battle for the title of Player of the Year. Tune in to twitch.tv/Magic Pro Tour for all the action starting August 29th.
Yeah, so we get to do this all again in 10 days?
Yes.
Well, that's actually pretty exciting.
16 of the best players ever coming together for 3 days of wonderful Magic.
I was just talking to a fellow commentator, Joey Pasco.
Oh, yes.
On Twitter, and he was...
Affinity for Blue, right?
Affinity for Blue, yes. He was just calling out what a good job everyone's been doing this weekend. He's certainly appreciative of all the hard work you've put in. And I was like, yeah, we get to do it again in 10 days at the Players' Championship. And he was like, very jealous. I will be watching.
Yeah, well, make sure you are too. Listen, this is the first of a new series of events. The World Magic Cup not been seen before. The Players' Championship not been seen before. We are going to have so much fun with you there. We've got multiple cube drafts going to be live.
Yeah, we're going to be live streaming cube drafts.
Yeah.
That are not online. These are physical cube drafts, people drafting dual lands and planeswalkers and swords and
it is going to be amazing. By the way, a fantastic comment from Cover It Live. Scotty Stacy says, Kitchen thinks the Geist of St. Traft. It's like 2008 and 2011 got into a fist fight.
Yes.
I keep.
All right, so we are gearing up in standard for Tamas Glied up against Yu Min Yang. And we're away
Valószínűleg rohadtok is akar valami.
with a swamp.
Egy van, csak akar róluk
And a
valami.
swamp on the other side. Well, this is zombies against zombies pod. You'd expect to see some swamps in this one. Diagraph Ghoul comes down, tapped as it must.
So funny how players get into habits. And it's a good habit to have. Yu Ming Yang keeps his bag on his lap. You know, because when you're at a Magic tournament, you want to keep an eye on your stuff. You want to make sure.
Absolutely.
But you know, it's a pretty secure area in the feature match area. You probably don't need to keep your bag on your lap. But
We've
that's how
seen
you're comfortable.
Yeah.
That's how you're used to playing.
I mean, we've seen some people steal a few games in the feature match area. But
Mortarpod gets rid of Blood Artist. Blood Artist says, take that. On the way out.
take that.
Yeah, so two trigger.
Oh, okay.
Not mine. So. You'll see.
They're just confirming live totals.
20 and you 18.
18.
And you
Math is hard.
My turn?
In Hungarian and Chinese Taipei English. I must say, as someone who only speaks, you know, a couple of languages a bit, I'm just in awe at the way that players from around the world can just basically speak fluent English. It's almost everyone at these events can just get by in English beautifully. And
We've teamed up to do a great job on the language.
Yeah. I can't believe I walked into that. You are not my friend.
Design and development are often in conflict.
Hush now. Watch the magic. Blood Artist and Gravecrawler, Diagraph Ghoul and Mortarpod on your right for Chinese Taipei, Died from Hungary on your left. 1-0 to Yang right now. The team's tied at 0. Quo 1-0 up in Modern.
There's something about zombies that really always brings out a desire for me to have the play be very flavorful.
Right, okay.
You know, like you know, a Diagraph Ghoul wouldn't have the dexterity to pick up a Mortarpod.
Right. Fair enough.
You know, we were playing an EDH match the other night. Dave Williams had a zombie deck, and he was sort of amassing zombies every turn. And Sheldon had a mode out.
Okay.
And it felt that at some point there should be enough zombies
they would
that they would fill the moat.
Yeah.
And then they would go over. So we were like, if it's 100 zombies, can 50 of them attack?
Yeah.
You know, 50 die, and then 50 attack.
That is perfectly reasonable.
Cavern of Souls, to surprise of no one, naming zombies.
And Mortarpod gets equipped. I'm sure Sam Blacker will be pleased to see zombies taking centre stage here at the back end of the World Magic Cup. He's done some sterling work with zombie lists in various formats in recent times. Is it Carrion Feeder at GP Atlanta that turned itself into a 12-12 at some point, I believe? Oh dear. Sam's here this weekend playing in many of the other championship events at Gen Con under the direction of the excellent Pastimes with Alan Hockman and friends.
We had a good time last night playing in that sealed deck event that Alan ran.
I was very disappointed with that. It was a celebrity bounty event. I did not get paired with a Magic celebrity once. Not once. Miserable.
So, Yu Ming Yang says go. He plays his Gravecrawler, equips it, and just passes. Very impatiently. He seems like he's a little more agitated than Quo is.
That's not hard, though.
No.
How about a Giraffe's Messenger?
How do you feel about this? So what is Glied potting up in his pod deck? Skin Renders, Metamorphs, Scab Ruinators.
Heads up towards a Massacre Worm.
Massacre Worm. Interesting. Thragtusk. Seems like
there we are. So
could be a tough one in this matchup.
That's our first sort of glimpse of Thragtusk. We sort of talked about it briefly. A Smelt sitting there. So that's coming out of the sideboard for Yu Ming Yang. Has a couple of Smelt in his board.
És utána meg egy földet, ezt megaláznak.
You know, looking around all the sideboards today, do you remember a time when people were terrified of Dismember? And how it was warping the game, and look at this Phyrexian
I remember when I
mana,
hated it.
I just like, and it's absolutely become just a very bit part player, perfectly fine. One of in a sideboard here and there, maybe two.
I played in an event where 5 different decks dismembered me. Plays Blood Artist, Blood Artist.
Nice.
And attacks for 4.
Zöld lapot jön.
So that Gravecrawler at the bottom of the screen on the right, maybe it's just the way my monitor is, but it looks like someone sort of pressed a hash key about 48 times, and that's the flavor text.
2. Csak addig le ne nyomja annyiba, hogy meghallja.
Is he thinking about killing that Blood Artist?
再回音就好了。
Az a baj, hogy
Nope, says go.
I can tell you that back in Modern, Gabor Coxis has got off to a pretty decent start. He's got a couple of step links out.
ez majdnem.
And talk of the devil, he's actually responding to a Dismember from Su Qingguo, which has come out. Probably the third one's gone in. He had a couple main deck. But an early decent start for Coxis. They're very early in their game too, though.
Attack.
No rocks. 12.
Zombie.
Force zombie.
Butcher Ghoul, limited all-star.
新 King 还是没有必要，还是没必要选傻吧。
Butcher Ghoul's a great card. You don't see it in all the zombie lists, but with Birthing Pod, it does some great work. It goes and gets you 2 Jarl's Messengers.
Wow.
Go.
You know, due to Undying. You sacrifice it, it comes back. You get a 3-caster. It's still in play. Next turn you sacrifice it, you get a 3-caster.
One of the things we don't yet do on the webcast is action replay. But when it comes to slow motion, if you want to look at Cover It Live, you can see the turn between Quo and Coxis in loving text detail, recreated by the members of Cover It Live.
Oh, awesome.
It began like this, as Coxis attempted a lightning hit. It's fantastic stuff. There's like, you know, dozens of entries compiling the turn. Fantastic stuff, Cover It Live viewers and listeners. It's great to have you with us. That was a great turn of Magic.
会爬回来的那一次打就好了。22的要留着，让他可以爬回来。
Coxis back down to 1 step lengths in his match, but that's all that's in play against Quo in Modern. Remember, Quo, by virtue of that incredible turn, 1-0 up.
3号画家。
Everyone sort of, all eyes on the Chinese Taipei team have shifted. Oh, there's a 3rd Blood Artist.
Yeah. So that's 4 in total on the board.
There's a Fume Spitter. Okay,
so I'll kill
I
your
lose
Blood
1,
Artist.
you gain 1. You lose 3, I gain 3.
So you're down to 11.
You got 15.
Then this one.
Take 6. Take 6.
Oh, 6. Sorry.
Right. So here we go.
This triggers on.
This
This one
triggers.
and this too. Because it's your turn, mine goes down first. So you're down to 11, I'm up to 15. Then I lose.
So
3.
11 goes up to 15.
Now you're up to 14.
Yeah, so at the end of all that,
Gliad
Yin
gives
Yang
him a master
14.
class in active player.
I'm up to.
Yeah.
And you are at 60 at the end. You are.
So it sounds like 10-16 is how that resolved itself.
16-10, yeah.
No progress. Okay.
Yep, no problem.
Nagyon behúzott 3.
It's all good.
Leszakad az arcom.
但没差。
Ez a blokkot, nem? Az meg Andáigra visszajön, azt meghalom. 6-ot kapok arcba. Hát de utána meg fejbe lő, azt visszahozzá.
Gravecrawler attacks. Glad wants to block with Butcher Ghoul.
Ja, faszat tud megnyerni.
Takes less damage if he doesn't block.
然后我再喷掉，我再叫。
Ja. 5-5 összesen, hogyha ellövi. Úgyis ellövi. Azt kap egy jelzőt. Okay, it's in.
Yep.
8.
So it's taking 2 is better than
Az meg behúzott
taking
3
6 here.
Bele fogok halni.
Su Qingguo, meanwhile, is into single digits and is starting to counter burn spells coming from his Hungarian opponent, Gabor Coxis. Just had a lightning bolt dealt with by counter magic, spell pierce for that.
Mindegy, ez van.
对，打他这样 B 扣比较多。
Okay.
So Gravecrawler
22 you are too late.
deals 6 thanks to the Mortar Pot ability.
怎么贴深一点而已啊。2点贴。
I don't know whether you saw that on the right of screen, but you know the rule that says you can't touch the cards?
Doesn't say anything about touching your opponent's arm.
22.
The hand that touches the cards? Helen picked his hand up like, no, walking across here, across the table. That was startling.
Gasztoljuk. Worm.
Wow!
Masca worms himself.
Prezentált 3 Blood Art tisztelt a Wormömre. Szerinted? Meg. Oda kellek? Hogy el vagytok?
还没开始。
It's suicide by worm.
So we're going to swing over and look at Coxis and Quo.
There we see the Magic Feather Case by Incipio, which lets your imagination flow. Keep your iPhone 4 or iPhone 4S protected from danger while showcasing Magic's awesome imagery, including the most popular Planeswalkers and other amazing art. For more information, visit wizards.com/Magic Merchandise. So we are going to head to Table A. We're going to see Su Qingguo back in action against Gabor Coxis. And in this one, Hungary is on 16 and Quo is at 9. And as I mentioned just a moment ago...
From the hardest working step links in the business, by the way.
Yeah. So, standard is game, set, and match. To Chinese Taipei.
So zombies have trumped Zombie Pod.
Yes. Here in Modern, it is 1-0 to Chinese Taipei, and if Quo can win this game, it's over.
14.
If Coxis wins to force game 3, still Chinese Taipei will be in the box seat. They will need 1 win out of the remaining 2 matches.
Official Wizards.
Ja. 2都赢了。
So Quo gets his attack on with the Snapcaster Mage.
Draw.
And passes to
进来了，我们
Coxis, who is, I mean, choked for land here.
Yeah, I mean, he started, as I say, trying to actually stop burning Quo out from 9. And Quo had a Spell Pierce at the ready for a Lightning Bolt.
Max that piece to the other.
I guess maybe use Serum Visions to try and find yourself a little bit more wiggle room.
Right, he's sitting there, he's like, I want to hold on to this
Yeah,
remand.
there's the Serum Vision. I mean, let's not forget, this is Modern. So this is not a format where life begins at 4 mana.
And Serum Visions is going to get remanded
Via.
via the Snapcaster Mage.
What's the target?
Yeah.
He's thinking, he's like, I might Spell Pierce that.
Oh, maybe okay.
Well, I mean, this is kind of a big deal because we talk about land destruction not really being in Magic these days, certainly not in the way it used to be in the oldie days of Sinkhole, Stone Rain and Co. And Wasteland. But there's no doubt that this is kind of what we're looking at here, because if Serum Visions doesn't get to draw Coxis a card, that sets him back further. Even if a land isn't on top, it still sets him back further in terms of trying to find one.
Crow keeps getting ahead of himself, tapping his mana. He hasn't declared a target yet.
Right, okay.
Why don't you target first, tap mana second?
Announce do.
He's like, okay, I'm gonna target remand. I'm gonna remand your Serum Visions. Very good.
Let's get up on it.
So now I think it's plan B, which is let's see if I can deal with you with 2 mana.
8.
Of course, the trouble with the 2 mana plan is that it both relies on creatures that need lands to be any good.
Yes. To be fair, much like buses, a bunch of them should be coming along in a row any minute now.
Absolutely. In fact, you'd probably take that, looking at that hand for Coxis, you would probably say, I tell you what, let's just take all the land out my deck and I'll just draw from that for the rest of the game. Let's see if I can kill
Right.
it.
It's like 3 turns.
Yeah, that seems perfectly
Right.
fine.
Right now, Coxis would be like, let the game last 3 more turns. He'd be very happy with that.
3 lands, perfect. But he must win this game, or we are done. Su Ching Kuo, a formidable opponent, one of the standout players of the weekend, not just on reputation, in fact, particularly not on reputation, because he's been a very quiet, people on the pro circuit know him, but he's not a household name by any means, and yet he has been dominant through the 2 days, and the number of players who've come up and said, who is this guy? Well, he's been around and he is very, very good. And Coxis has to win this game and the next one, and in block, Tamas Nag has to defeat Terry Cheng in their decider, or it will be a Puerto Rico Chinese Taipei final. It's 8 apiece. Hey, you just wait a minute there.
We saw that Kuo was holding a Wrath of God, a good old-fashioned portal Wrath of God with no Day of Judgment, no Damnation, no newfangled Mutilate.
No 10th edition like we've got up on screen. This is
Oh, no, no, no. There are a couple of acceptable artworks for Wrath of God. That is not one of them.
Wow. Everyone's an art critic.
I'm actually qualified to make this decision.
Okay. You like Damnation, though, right?
I do like Damnation.
By Kev Walker,
Yes.
reflecting exactly that.
Yeah, of course.
pair. There it is, up on screen.
Draw.
I don't think I've ever been more excited opening a rare than the first time I opened a Damnation.
Yes.
Because that was such a sexy spell in that set. You opened a pack and you saw the black card at the bottom. You didn't know what...
Vendilion Click
ooh.
gets remanded.
Yep.
Remand gets spell snared.
Here we go again.
Okay.
Get ready on the action replay, cover it live.
Draw.
And okay, comes into play. Who is the target? Okay, who is the target? Yeah,
Who is the target? Yeah.
the affair was some. It's in my hand.
Close at 8 is... Oh, but... He might... Actually, I think... I think Cox just wins this game.
Jól árulnám.
If he plays a fetch land.
Ilyen is, tehát ezért nem több is tudunk lőni egyet.
Well, there's a click.
Megnyertük.
Sure, but he can bolt that.
Yeah.
Ilyenünk van. Ilyenünk van.
Is that a fetch land on the right, or is that a steam
Itt van a
fence?
kezemben.
It's a steam
No,
fence.
it's a steam fence. That won't do it.
Okay.
Nem tudja elvenni.
The point being double landfall trigger.
Yes. So
So-
which is the risk Quo faces If he takes a card here, he's going to make the bolt go away, though. He has to push the bolt to the bottom. And then
So
even on a double landfall trigger, he can still block with the Vendilion click.
So a case of the bolt having to watch from the sidelines, or a case of bird the bolt.
Yes. Both players are at 8.
This is going to haunt you forever, though. If you take the, I mean, I'm fine that you take the lightning bolt, but if you take the lightning bolt and then you die,
but he won't. He
no?
won't.
Is he going to be fine now?
He won't die if he takes the bolt because he needs to draw a fetch land.
Yeah.
He needs to be able to get red.
Fine.
He needs to kill the Vendilion click.
So it does make him safe. We have seen quite a few games today where land has really mattered.
Well, again, you know, in Modern, you play these decks that they're very. How many lands are these guys playing?
No.
26 for Quo.
So he's your mandate.
Quo draw a card for that bolt. Yes, he did. And did he draw? Is that a watery grave? It's a watery grave.
Okay.
Not a fetch land.
No.
So it looks like Cox's plays a fair amount of land.
Yeah, I think he's at 22. Yeah, 22. Oh, there is just a fantastic view of the entire Hungarian squad agonizing over these next moments. Look at the 4 of them there. Coxis, the man with his hand on the tiller. Shriek in the blue. The coach. Can't play the cards but can help make the right choices.
1, 2, 3 step links, attacks. Threatening to drop Quo to 6. And almost like a chess clock, you find the language change in the discussion. You know who's making the moves by what language you're hearing in your headphones. It's incredible. Make a Mutavault into something more than a land. Once again, land playing a big deal. Dismember, which member? Dismember. There goes step links. There's it is, and that is over. And there's a fist pump from the Chinese Taipei. Oh, they love that. Chinese Taipei are through to the World Magic Cup final. And Su Quo lets himself have a small smile.
Yes. He's a happy man. He's such a lovely guy. I've seen him all around the world at events. And
there we go. There's a laugh.
Yeah. And he is taking them to the verge of victory. We did a feature on heavy lifting, we called it. We said, what are the percentages of lifetime pro points that the lead guy is delivering to his team? 158 of 162. And I hope you heard that. Good luck in the finals. And you know what? They really mean it.
Yeah, the sportsmanship this weekend has been tremendous.
Absolutely marvelous. Hello, everyone. Welcome back. Second semi-final done and dusted. In the end, the third game did not matter. And Su Quo doing the heavy lifting.
Yeah.
And again.
That would put him at 14-0 now.
We must check this, but
We have to check
I
it.
do believe that he could be part of the World Magic Cup winning team without losing a match. Crazy.
Yeah.
Crazy. Listen, what we're going to do, we're going to throw it back to the news desk. We're going to have about 10 minutes, let the players just sort of gear themselves up for what is, after all, the biggest match of their Magic lives. Waiting for those Chinese Taipei 3+ coach are the 4 boys from Puerto Rico. So excited for them. It's going to be marvelous stuff. Don't go away. About 10 minutes, we'll be back with the World Magic Cup final. But for now, it's back to Sheldon Menery, Zach Hill, and first, Marshall Sutcliffe.
Hey everybody, welcome back to the booth here at the World Magic Cup. My name is Marshall Sutcliffe, and I am joined by Zach Hill and Sheldon Menery. The finals are upon us.
Yep.
I mean, this is not the 2 teams that I would have guessed were coming in here at the beginning of the weekend.
Yeah, I'm going to tell you, if you picked out Puerto Rico versus Chinese Taipei in the finals, you're a very smart person. You should apply to Wizards of the Coast.
Right.
We would very much like
So
to
let's
have
take a look at the bracket here. So we had Puerto Rico upset Croatia in the quarterfinal round to advance, and now they've gotten past a very tough Polish team to make it to the finals. This is a huge deal for Puerto Rico. Sheldon, you've had your eye on them the whole time.
I have. They come to just a good Magic tradition of playing hard, playing hard, playing hard. They came in, they didn't have that, oh, we're just happy to be here attitude.
Yep.
We came to game. I mean,
Yes.
that's been a theme of the weekend.
Yep.
But Puerto Rico came to game, and they've showed it. They played solid Magic the entire time. And remember, they're the 8th seed coming into this bracket, so they're not going first in any of their games.
Okay, so let's take a look at the path that Chinese Taipei will have taken here. In the first round, they also toppled a real giant here, Slovak Republic. They had a great showing early, faded a little at the end, but still came in strong into the top 8 here. Then they got by another, I have to say, a solid Hungarian team to make it now to the finals against Puerto Rico. And we've got 2, I mean, geographically speaking, very small countries.
Mm-hmm.
You know, we were talking earlier, Puerto Rico's a protectorate, you know.
Territory, I believe.
Yeah, I mean, you know, we're not talking about huge Magic populations.
Correct.
Here, right? I mean, we're talking about like a pretty limited player pool, and these guys find themselves in the finals battling it out for the World Magic Cup Championship. So this is, I really can't wait to see who wins this thing.
I think it's a Cinderella story either way.
Okay.
I think there's just this beautiful narrative about what the World Magic Cup is all about.
Which is bringing in these smaller countries, right? And look, now we have them right here.
We have them
and we
right
have
here.
2 of them in the final, which I didn't expect that at all. Let's take a look at the Puerto Rican team here. We haven't had a chance to look at them on the graphics yet. And, you know, okay, so you're going to look at them here. So we have Jorge Iramain on the left. Now, you said he's the leader.
He's pretty much the leader of this squad. He sort of reined in the other guys as they started getting. They were getting caught up in the moment of the the excitement of winning,
Right.
and we're not focusing on playing their matches. And he did. He reined them all back in. He's really solid player. We see he's playing the modern Affinity Robots deck.
Yeah.
Which is pretty savage. Jorge also representing the judges. He's a level 1 judge.
Oh, is he really?
And his twin brother, Francisco, is a level 2 judge, who's
that's
also
fantastic.
here at this event.
Well, that's nice. And all right, so the next guy here, we have Gabriel Nieves Ortiz, and he's going to be playing standard. Now, he chose blue-white Delver. You know, this is a pretty common choice this weekend. It's considered a solid deck. It has a proven track record. And let's take a look at him. He's got 8 lifetime pro points. He's got a GP top 8 in only 4 attempts. You know, running the old 25%er on the GPs of the top 8 is pretty good.
Yeah, and it was a top 8 this year at GP Orlando. I mean, so he clearly coming in strong, understands the environment, understands Magic at this point in time.
I think GP Orlando was standard as well, right?
Yes.
I believe it was.
Yeah,
is this the
I
one that
seem to remember.
Conley won? Is that the one we're talking about?
I think that was
Yeah.
Nashville, wasn't
Maybe
it?
that was Nashville. Okay, I'll digress on that one. But at any rate, he is going to be playing standard for the Puerto Rican team here. Now, next up, we've got Cesar Soto, and he's got the block deck with Jund. So we've seen this deck. It's very powerful. It does very powerful things. runs Bonfire of the Damned.
Right. Casts it.
It
things
often
die.
casts it, stuff dies, and you know a lot of the games do come down to that specific card and who can manage to peel one off the top of their library.
I've been watching Puerto Rico most of the weekend. Cesar Soto is the guy that they've given the aggressive deck to every time.
Oh, yeah.
He's the guy that likes to really drive it in there.
And you know, if you look at the photo of him, he looks pretty stern as well. All right, and so the last is Jonathan Paez, and he didn't make it to this deck, but he's going to be there lending advice. You know, I mean, let's see. So it looks like he won a World Magical Qualifier because he doesn't have any pro points or anything. You know, he's the least experienced member of this team. But you know, you were talking earlier, Sheldon, that there's other things that this guy can contribute other than technical advice.
Sure, you bring a cohesion to the team. We've said it time and time again about this team format. You can't just go rogue when you want to make a move. You got to convince 3 other good Magic players that it's the right thing to do.
Well, and not just, I mean, there's definitely, you know, the leadership aspect, but I was walking by earlier taking notes on matchups or whatever for the coverage, and he didn't, I didn't have a press badge on or anything, he didn't notice me, he like stops me, and he says like, whoa, no spectators.
Oh, really?
Yeah, so I mean, he's really staying on top of just, I mean, one thing that is important when you're playing at an event that's this high stakes is to maintain an awareness of what's going on, you know, making sure the board state's accurate, making sure you understand, you know, no one's doing anything like that, right?
Good stewardship, yeah.
And yeah, I mean, you just, and his taking care of that responsibility means that the rest of his teammates can focus on playing the game.
Yeah.
And that's a huge benefit to be able to devote 100% of your attention to the matchup in front of you.
You know, I think that if I had somebody to sit next to me and take care of all that stuff, I'd be like 20% better than I am. You know, sometimes you lose track of little things, and you know, will you do that for me, Zach, or?
It depends.
Might not
Depends
be
on
legal.
what we're playing for.
Sheldon might have something to say about it.
I got nothing to say about it.
All right, well, when I show up at a
coverage guy
PTQ with Zach sitting on my left side, making sure that everything's right, I'm going to say, Sheldon said it was okay.
No.
Judge Emeritus Sheldon Menery.
Right, you're going to say, he
said it was okay.
He said he didn't care.
Oh.
That probably
Very
won't fly.
different.
All right,
Yeah,
let's
that's
bring up
very
the next graphic. We're going to take a look again at the Chinese Taipei team. Man, these guys have put up a huge stand here. So on the left, you see Zhu Qinghua, and he is playing Modern with the blue-white tempo deck. This guy's a powerhouse. For those of you just joining us on the webcast, you know, this guy's 158 lifetime Pro Tour points, or Pro points, excuse me. He's been playing, he's had success competitively since the year 2000.
Right.
He's a veteran of the game.
And not only is he a veteran for a long time, he's putting up great results this season as a platinum level pro player.
Yeah.
So he definitely is a strong anchor for this team. Probably one of the biggest powerhouses in the entire top 8, really leading this team to this final finish.
I am blown away by this stat right here, Zach.
Played at 40 GPs, has 9 GP top 8s. Yeah, I feel like if I just had a 25% chance to top 8, you know, these huge events, that's a testament to your ability, right?
Sure.
1,000 player pool, player fields, and he just casually
Just
top
keeps
8s
going in.
1 out of 4 of them.
Yeah, we've seen. I mean, his next Pro Tour will be his 20th under his belt, so he is really experienced. So when he goes to these, I think you learn to play Magic really, really well at these giant tournaments because there's no room for error.
Right.
You know, you go to the Pro Tour and you know, well, I dropped a match that I shouldn't have, so you know, I made top 32 instead of 16. It hurts.
Right.
But I think you think differently about it when you're at the big event and there's no margin for error. I mean, dropping one match means you're out.
Well, and you just get used to sitting in your chair, having played tournament level Magic using the whole of your brain power for 3 days and not getting physically exhausted.
Yeah, people underestimate how much of an endurance sport playing tournament Magic is.
No, it's insane. I played
Physically.
Yeah, that's what I mean.
Yeah.
I've played High Tide and Elf combo decks at high level events, and by the end of the second day, you're just, I don't want to think about it.
Yeah.
You just want to show your opponent your hand. You're like, do I win? Do I lose?
Yeah, just let me know.
I really
Get back to me after turn 6, and I'll let you know.
That's why I'm the Jun player.
All right, so let's take a look at the next player here. It's Terry Chang. He is playing the block Jun list, so we're going to be seeing a mirror match there. We know that. And So, and Terry, he's got a few pro points under his belt. He's played in 8 GPs and a Pro Tour. So, you know, he's got a little bit of experience. This isn't his first time playing in a big tournament or anything like that. But at the same time, you know, compared to like Su Qinghua, it's not even close, right? Like, we can tell definitely that the leadership and that the experience lies with him. That said, you know, each guy has their own set of responsibilities, and they all have to win their match. At least 2 of them have to win their match, you know, to take this thing down. All right, next we have Yu Ming Yang. Now, he's got, let's see, what does he have? He has 0, 0, 0, 0, 0, 2 GPs. So he's played in 2 GPs. So he's about where I am.
Maybe he'll
I
be
played
in the booth
4,
next time.
but yeah, maybe he will. And, you know, won a Magic Cup qualifier to get in here. And again, same thing. He's going to be playing standard, black-red zombies, and a lot of pressure.
Well, it's a lot of pressure, but he's been doing very well so far. You know, a lot of people think, oh, okay, you're going to play the aggressive deck, whatever, you just cast spells and attack. But Black-Red Zombie is the deck that's really about nickel and diming 1 point of damage at a time. You know, you have cards like, you know, Mortar Pot, obviously, the Blood Artist.
Yeah,
Blood Artist
I love that card so much.
Actual 1 point of damage.
Yeah.
And until, like, a lot of the time, it goes the whole way there.
Yeah.
You know, so I mean,
There's a lot of times it plays like a combo deck.
Yeah, exactly.
You know, I mean, that deck can absolutely play this totally like non-attacking role where they're just casting things, sacrificing them, dinging your life total down, and it doesn't even have to beat you down. I mean, if you were just to put that in the category of just an aggro deck, you would just be wrong.
No, exactly.
Yeah.
And so many times, you know, 1 or 2 points of damage is the difference between a win and a loss. I mean, this is not an easy deck to play, and Young's took it all to the finals.
Yeah, it plays well. I mean, you get into a sort of a devil's choice with the deck.
Right.
You have Blood Artist out. He puts out another zombie. That zombie is either going to attack and kill you, or die and kill you.
Right.
So what do you do?
Right, and you know, I think that is one thing that often gets overlooked with matchups like this, where you know we've got a player playing an aggressive deck, or at least a deck that is trying to take your opponent's life total from 20 to 0 in a, I say in a quick fashion, right? I mean, is that kind of how you define it? So when you play a control deck, say, and you've got cards like Ponder, you know, things like counter spells and such like that, they're very difficult to play. They call it a decision tree, gets very wide. You can go a lot of different paths, but the one thing I've noticed about playing those decks personally is that you can also switch your path to a different direction when you need to. When you play these aggressive decks or these semi-combo aggressive decks like this one, it is very unforgiving. You know, you take this one step in this direction, and you can't go back.
Well, and the thing about aggro decks, I feel like it's easier to play an aggro deck at 80%. Right, playing a control deck at 80%, you have to really understand a lot about the way Magic works, do a lot of counterintuitive things like just sit and take damage and accumulate resources that are kind of hard to do.
Yeah.
But to play an aggro deck at 100%, I feel like is actually probably harder than playing a control deck at 100%.
Yes.
Because you can't ever use a heuristic, and you have to do things that just feel bad all the time. You know, so many times you have to just lose 3 guys to deal 2 extra damage so that, you can draw a Brimstone Volley and kill them.
Right.
So, I mean, it really is a testament. I feel like it's a lot more challenging to do than it appears at first glance.
I think so too. Now, last on the list here for the coach is Paul Rainey. He also won a World Magic Cup qualifier. Wasn't able to be the active player for this round. He's going to be filling that role that we were just mentioning, keeping people on point, making sure that if they need anything, they have it, and just generally rooting them on. So, yeah. I think this matchup is going to be really, really sweet. Puerto Rico versus Chinese Taipei. I know who you think. Now, Chinese Taipei was one of the ones that you picked. Yeah. So are you sticking with them for the final
absolutely.
Here? Not even close, right?
And they get to play first.
You gonna break the tie?
You what?
Are you gonna break the tie here?
Yes. I'm with this guy. Now, the reason is I'm kind of just gaming it. But so I feel like these players are relatively even, except for there's this huge spike on one side, and it's Su Qinghua. I mean, he is way ahead of everybody else. I mean, he's way ahead of most players in the field, let alone of the last 2 teams left. And I just feel like when you have a player that's strong on one side, it just gives the team a big advantage.
Yeah, I mean, I'll concede Puerto Rico is the underdog here.
Sure.
You know, Puerto Rico has a population of 3.7 million.
Which is smaller than the Tampa Bay area that I live in.
Right. I think there was 3.7 million players in the tournament when we started. You know, I mean, just as a comparison, Chinese Taipei has 23 million.
Still not a giant.
Right,
area.
it's 8 times more or whatever, but and that's not even that big of a country based on some of the places that were represented here, you know. And yeah, so Puerto Rico, what they've been able to do with a much more limited player pool is really incredible.
Yeah, I think that Puerto Rico's the underdog going in here because of just the the fact, like you said, Qua is just a monster.
He's a beast.
I'm gonna go in to this one on the emotion. I'm gonna go in on riding high because Brian David Marshall is gonna get upset with me for saying this. The Patriots are a better team than the Giants, but the Giants.
That's true.
But the Giants brought it home because they had that intangible to play better when it mattered.
All right. Well, if that's the case, then I'm going to say that Tsuchin Kwa is Tom Brady. Okay. So let's take a quick break from this before we go back down, and let's talk about the GP schedule that we just announced. That was really sweet. We had the exclusive here. We got to tell everybody around the world if they were going to be getting a GP. And let's take a look at the entirety of it. We get a chance to look at all of the different locations that we're going to be going to. Which ones pop out for you, Sheldon? I know you and I were talking about Verona in Italy. We both love that city.
San Diego is a great place. That you see that toward the end of the quarter. San Diego is just a great place to go to a Magic event.
It is.
It's like Indianapolis. I got to tell you, Indianapolis in the beginning and San Diego at the end are very similar because they have these great areas that surround the convention center, great restaurants, great culture. Things you can do in conjunction with your Magic weekend.
Yeah.
So I
like the restaurants within walking distance as well. In San Diego. I think that's fantastic.
Here it's absurd.
Here it's a little different.
And I think London it's a world. It's one of the world's great cities.
Yes.
There's the modern world, there's the old world, there's this great combination of history and today.
Yeah, and there's also Rich Hagen. I mean,
I'm sorry.
It's in England.
Were you trying to?
I'm trying to sell it.
Trying to send me there or keep me away?
No, I'm trying to. What about you, Zach? Which one of these kind of pop out at you?
Well, while London also does stand out, not only Rich Hagen, but coverage reporter Tim Willoughby, very good man, one of my very good friends. Great city, obviously. My favorite might actually even be Singapore. I was at a Grand Prix in Singapore in 2009. Had a great time, great people, great food, great Magic community. Actually, I was hanging out with some of those guys very briefly earlier in the tournament. Really rock solid player base, and probably my favorite food on the planet.
Oh yeah.
So that alone would be enough to send me there. Plus, I mean, it's just really good time, and it's a great place to be in January because you're certainly not going to be freezing.
Yeah, exactly. That is the thing. We're going to be seeing some different weather systems at some of these places for sure. One of the ones that caught my eye is Quebec City in Canada.
Oh yeah?
Yeah, I mean, I think that Canada has been made a big push recently on the Pro Tour stage. Our last Pro Tour winner is Canadian with Alexander Hayne. We saw them come out and have a strong showing here. They didn't quite make it as far as they'd like to, but they had a strong showing. And when I think about who's kind of moving and shaking in the Magic world, since I've started doing coverage, Canada's one of the top ones. I mean, they're saying, look, we want to be Team Canada. We're going to come up. We're going to be a force to be reckoned with. And I think they're doing it right. They're actually taking the time to organize, and they've got some really solid players. Lucas Siao, Pascal Maynard. These guys are really making a look at push. And I really like that we're going to put a GP up in Canada for all of our Canadian friends.
Which happens to be the week after the Pro Tour.
And it happens to be the week after the Pro Tour, which is also in Canada, which I think is awesome too. Yeah, the other one I'd like to go to is actually San Diego. I mean, I know that maybe it's not the flashiest city we have on the list here, but it is just a fantastic place to play Magic. It's just like you show up, the weather's beautiful, everything's nice, the restaurants are good. I just love playing.
Get some fish tacos.
Yep, I did that last time. So
and that's a relatively short flight for both of you guys.
It is.
Oh yeah, not too bad.
I mean, Singapore's not even that bad for you guys, is it?
No, it's a long way.
I mean, it's
because not East Coast.
Yeah,
Zach and I are both
halfway around the world from me.
Right.
Oh sure. Yeah, comparatively easy.
Yeah, and then one other one, the nearest one to us here, not physically but time-wise, is here. Yeah. Is in Indianapolis.
Right,
so, I'm sure it'll be in a similar location, maybe even this very convention center. And I have to say, Indianapolis has really proven to me, the Midwest area, the Eastern Midwest area, is really a hub for Magic. I mean, I've met so many people here this weekend that I know from the internet, from Twitter,
definitely.
from that kind of thing, and it's just alive and well here. Same thing in Columbus. Sheldon, you and I were there a couple weeks ago. It's the same thing. It's you know that whole those groups move back and forth between each other, and I got to say that this place is just a Magic hub.
Well, and the thing to me, actually, I mean, not just with Indianapolis, but with this entire Grand Prix schedule, we've only shown you all of the Grand Prix that are happening until mid-March. I mean, there are just a ton of events going on this year. And like I said, I really think now might be the best time to play Magic ever. If you want an event, whether to play in, whether you want to just experience the coverage and see Magic played at its highest level, there is no better time than right now to do that.
Yeah, I'm going to agree with Zach on that one.
I have to as well, especially with how many, just the sheer number of GPs that we have and so many options. It's fantastic. All right, let's take one last look at our finalists. Chinese Taipei and Puerto Rico on the left-hand side there. You can see how excited the Puerto Ricans are. They're yelling, they're fist pumping, they've got their flag. Compared to the rather stoic Chinese Taipei team, they look like they're all business. I am told that we are ready to go in the booth. So we're going to get to, right now, a chance to see the finals of the World Magic Cup between Chinese Taipei and Puerto Rico, and I couldn't be more excited, guys. Right when we pass it down, we're all going to run out of here and go find a monitor. They got one set up over in the Players Lounge. No seats available. I had to stand there. Me and Aaron Forsyth were there. You were over there too, Sheldon. We were watching the coverage of the semis, and I'm going to go do that again right now. For you at home, we're going to send you down to the booth. Rich Hagan, BDM, the finals right now.